Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to My Deep Guide. Today we're taking an in-depth look at the Lenovo Tab P11 Pro tablet. And here it is, the Lenovo Tab P11 Pro. So this is the version that I got, which is a bundle, which includes the keyboard, the cover, and the pen itself. And it's also the top spec model. So physically and the design is identical between both models that you can find. One is with 4 GB of RAM, the other one is with 6 GB of RAM, this one here. But otherwise, they're pretty much all identical. Overall, the tablet is of an absolutely excellent design. It's thin, it's beautifully crafted, it's absolutely stunning, and it just works as a handheld tablet for reading, for content creation, for content consumption. It just works. It feels modern, the materials are fantastic, and yeah, the finish is just beautiful. Quick overview of the design. We have this kind of more modern looking tablet, no curves or anything like that, just slightly rounded edges. It is a glass panel on top, flat, no indentations, no protrusions, nothing. We have a sensor and a webcam on top. On the side we have a volume rocker for volume up and down, and around here we also have the only non-metal parts here for the wireless signals to come through. What I do like about it is how they are distributed, so that no matter how you actually hold the device, some of them will be open. On the other side we have the 5-volt, I forgot the name of this dude, but that's the connection panel to, in this case, the keyboard and external peripherals, if that's what you're looking for. On the top we have the power button that's also a fingerprint reader, which is fairly reliable, something that I'm very much impressed with. We have 2 out of 4 total JBL speakers, and this here is an expansion slot for the micro SD. And on the bottom we have the USB-C for data and charging, and the remaining 2 JBL speakers. Back is a single piece milled aluminum affair, really high quality, lovely detail that you have kind of different brush level, I guess, to get a little bit of a different reflection here. And then we have the LED for flash and a protruding dual camera system for normal and narrow type of photography. The camera does protrude a little bit, and that can be like a bummer in certain cases. And also, for a beautiful device like this, you will probably tend to use the cover and the stand most of the time to actually kind of protect it. And once you actually apply that, then there is no protrusion and the device is flat and nice. So not a big deal, but yeah, if there is one thing that I would fault it as far as the design goes, it's the protrusion itself here. But then again, it's unfortunately a standard these days, and yeah, it is what it is. When you attach the back panel here, it also has this movable stand so that you can have it in any position that you may want. And the stand is very strong. The hinge is quite strong, so it's pleasant and easy to adjust, but it is very sturdy, so you can actually do normal operation on the tablet itself if you so choose, without it slowly kind of eking away and running away from you. And once you attach the keyboard to it, then you will have this kind of transformative experience, because the tablet then transforms into basically a laptop. And coupled with the productivity mode that this tablet actually has, it is not a gimmick, it actually works. Now, granted, once you start adding all of these things, the keyboard and the stand in the back, it does get to be considerably more heavier. But then again, you're entering laptop territory, and if we're talking about laptop type of functionality, for a laptop type of a functionality, then it's light, if you know what I mean. So I find myself flipping between these options when I'm in productivity mode and just working during the day. I keep it as a laptop, and it's extremely portable laptop and extremely capable type of a device. But then when I want to go to the couch and just start kind of looking at YouTube videos or anything like that, I just simply take the magnetic accessories away and I am left with a super sexy, uber modern, uber portable, light and wonderful to use tablet. So for me, it just works in both situations. It works fantastically. Both the cover and the keyboard are of excellent quality, and even though I have other Bluetooth keyboards and I tried them, the one that's included in the pack is exceptionally good. You have really nice travel for keys. Even though it's so small, they actually work, and the shaping and the spacing between them really works. They have excellent comfort and speed and responsiveness and the build quality of the overall keyboard. The trackpad is super smooth and it has a click, so that's something that absolutely helps. And what also helps are the gestures. So with 2 fingers, you can really navigate very much easily through any of the options on the system. And as you can see, the tablet itself is blisteringly fast, so that's something that really helps. So overall, the entire experience, once you start adding these things, they don't feel as add-ons. They more feel like extensions to the device, and that's not always the case. Too often we feel, and we actually see that it's like, here's the device and now we slap some stuff on top of it. That's most definitely not the case with the Lenovo Tab P11 Pro and the keyboards here and everything else. They are basically parts of a very modular design, and that's a hard thing to achieve, but I think they definitely nailed it. One thing that I also particularly like about the keyboard here and why I prefer it instead of the Bluetooth keyboards, a PC keyboard or something like that, is that it's actually an Android keyboard, which means that it has a couple of keys here that are Android specific, such as back, home, multitask, volume up, down. Then you have full screen functionality. So when you're in productivity mode and you open up a app that does support it and has full screen functionality, you can simply press full screen and toggle between full screen app mode on or off. Also, we have the brightness, we have cut, which is for editing things. You can lock it, and you have speech to text functionality as well on a button. So when you want to dictate something or do a search, you just press a button here and off you go. Really good. As I said, all of these things, especially these dedicated function keys on the keyboard, just enhance the overall experience to feel more cohesive and more as a complete kind of a usability, productivity type of workflow. One thing that I do miss on the keyboard is that it's not backlit. So that's something that I wish we would have, because if I find myself in darker conditions, I have so many options to choose from to kind of adapt my display not to glow at me, but actually to be comfortable to look at. Then you don't actually see the keyboard here. So that's one negative thing for the keyboard. Yes, it would seep more power from the tablet, but then again, it's really powerful. It has enough battery, so it would have been a nice addition to actually have the backlit keyboards on the keyboard. This is a fairly well-equipped and spec'd out tablet. So it's sporting a Snapdragon 730G CPU, so not the super most powerful one out there, but absolutely capable and super well utilized. As I said, you have 2 variations, one with 4 gigabytes, the other one, which is this one, with 6 gigabytes of RAM, and internal storage, which is 128 gigabytes. And in case 128 gigabytes is not enough for you, you have that external micro SD storage, so you can expand up to your heart's desire. It's an extremely powerful and capable Android tablet, and through many of the things that I've been using it, it never exhibited any kind of hitch or a slowdown or anything of that kind. which is basically the first time that I've had an experience with an Android tablet that it's not hitching up, that it's not kind of stuttering, that it doesn't have any kind of problems of that kind. None of that happening here. Overall, it's an extremely smooth type of an experience. It doesn't have a problem to actually play 4K content. It can snap throughout breezily, doesn't have any issues with that, and it's also capable of multitasking. And because of the ultra wide format, it's actually perfectly capable to play a 4K video and browse normally, so we can actually multitask while trying to while playing a 4K video. So that's something that I really find nice, and switching between different modes, it doesn't seem to have any issue at all. And again, I'm saying 4K kind of content here, it's not hitching up, it doesn't have any kind of issues at all. While it's not the most powerful Android tablet on the market, I don't think it really does matter, because the performance, the use case scenario has been balanced very nicely. This means that in an overwhelming vast majority of use case scenarios where you will be using a tablet like this, it will be more than capable to crunch through the tasks without slowing down or becoming less smooth. There are three variants that you can choose from for the Tab P11 Pro. For $500, you have the 4 gigabytes of RAM, the $550 is 6 gigabytes of RAM, and for $650, you get the bundle, which is the more powerful 6 gigabyte RAM version of the tablet, and the accessories that I've shown here, the keyboard, the back cover, and the pen. Everything else is absolutely identical in same each version, meaning same screen, CPU, 128 gigabytes of internal storage, everything is exactly the same. It's just RAM and the accessories that's different. It's not cheap by any stretch of imagination. It's definitely not a cheap device, so you better be absolutely sure that what you are looking for is one of the ultimate Android tablet experiences out there, and not an actual PC laptop, because when we talk about the bundle, you're definitely getting into a laptop price category, so it's something that you have to consider. The availability is a little bit weird, because it's not available on Amazon yet. However, you can find it on Lenovo's site, local site or global site if you want, and there are definitely other local distributors who deal with tech gadgets and things like that, so you should be able to find it quite easily. But yeah, it's not on Amazon yet. I don't know why. The screen itself is the main reason why I actually went for this tablet. So we have an 11.5 inches OLED WQXGA panel, which is running at 1600p or 2560 by 1600 pixels. So that's the main consideration why I got it in the first place, and it certainly doesn't disappoint. The picture is super smooth, crisp, sharp, blacks are truly black, the contrast is fantastic, the colors are vivid. It has a super flexible range to actually accommodate from super bright conditions to dark conditions, and it doesn't actually need to blind you. It is able to cope with the outside and super bright daylight and sunlight conditions, though expected to run at the higher end down here, and the reflections themselves can be a problem, like with any device of this type, because it's just glass. It's not true AG glass, it's just normal glass, so the reflections, as you can see, are very strong. This can be remedied by adding basically anti-glare screen protector, which is probably something that I'm gonna do for this device here. But yeah, overall, for indoor use and normal type of use case scenarios, I didn't have a problem with the reflections, but outdoors, yeah, you might actually run into this, which is kind of normal for this type of a device. You also have the option of the color modes on the display here. So you have the AMOLED, wide color gamut, but you also have the sRGB and DCI P3 standards if that's what you're actually looking for. So it's especially nice to have an sRGB standard when you are working with color important type of content. So it's not just bright and into your face, but it's actually color accuracy that you're looking for. This tablet is able to deliver. So that's another thing productivity wise that I'm very, very happy with. It is able to deal with super high resolution images without any problem, and you can it's a very, very nice kind of a device to use that for, especially if you need correct color balancing and levels. So very, very nice, and it goes beyond the just content consumption, and again something that helps to elevate this tablet into content creation type of a device. I also love the flexibility that the options, many options on the tablet actually give you, especially the eye protection mode, which filters out harmful blue hues and generally softens the glow from the screen. So it's a much more usable reader device. The ability that you have full control over the brightness, and you can actually have it really, really low to kind of make it work properly. That we can have a dark theme in general for the overall device, so that again it kind of makes use of that true black that the device has, and also the bedtime mode, which is customizable, which actually turns it into a grayscale type of a device, which in turn turns it into this beautiful and really, really comfortable reader type of a device. All of these things combined make it so that you can definitely customize it to your own individual needs. So it's a very out-of-the-box experience, and it has many options that I find extremely helpful. Overall, this is one of the nicest displays that I have ever used so far. Really, really good. Tab P11 Pro is powered by a massive 8600 milliamp battery. It's an extremely powerful battery, and it makes up for excellent battery life as it would be expected. It also is able to hold the charge really, really well during extended standby operations. I usually do battery tests on e-ink tablets, and I wanted to kind of translate this onto here as well to see how it performs. And it's a twofold battery test. Battery test 1 is continuous writing for a certain period of time, and then I extrapolate how much was spent and how much we could expect reasonably from that type of usage, and also continuous reading, where I loaded up a reader, PDF reader, that had text-to-speech functionality, so I let it read and speak for a certain period of time and then see how much battery it spent. So in the continuous writing test, Lenovo Tab P11 Pro spent around 6% of battery life per hour, with expected average of 16.67 hours of battery life per charge under these conditions. However, important thing to note here is that the backlight was at around 1/4, so very, very low, but that's usually what I keep it on this device. So this was usual case scenario for my type of stuff. Of course, if you are outside or in really, really well lit conditions where you have to crank up the brightness all the way up, then expect that power consumption to rise dramatically. In the battery test 2, where it was reading the book continuously for a while, it averaged around 7.5% of battery life per hour, with an expected range of around 13.33 hours under the same brightness type of conditions. Those tests are nice, but in reality, the main thing, I think the main value is the battery management system and the flexibility of the battery management system on this platform, Android 10, but on the Lenovo P11 Pro as well. One of the favorites that I have is scheduling powering on and off of the tablet itself. So I usually have it scheduled so that it powers off when I'm no longer going to be using it. When I go to bed, it automatically powers off, and it automatically powers on at around half an hour after I wake up, which it gives me plenty of time to deal with the kittens and all that kind of stuff. And then when I start working, the tablet is actually automatically powered up and ready to go. Alternatively, you can also just let it power off automatically, and then you power it on the very first time you start using it. Either way, whichever option you choose, you end up with a really balanced solution that the device is not uselessly seeping power in standby mode. No matter how good it is, it's going to use some power, but there's no need for it if you're not going to be using the device for a certain amount of hours or even days in some cases. Needless to say, you have plenty of battery management options to customize and to really fine-tune the battery consumption and the battery life performance exactly to your work needs and lifestyle needs. This tablet has two cameras on the back, and it has a front-facing camera as well. Both perform adequately. They are able to capture footage at maximum 1080p, nothing spectacular, nothing out of the ordinary, and as a still picture camera, I really wouldn't use it. I mean, these cameras have one purpose and one purpose only, which is video conferencing, chatting, and all that kind of stuff. And for that, I think that they perform really well. Is it some groundbreaking quality? No. Is it bad? No, not at all. It's perfectly adequate, and I think it's balanced really well. Here is the example of the front camera, the good lighting system that I have currently when I'm taking my regular videos, and the face tracking works. The auto zoom or autofocus seems to be working good, so it doesn't seem to be struggling at all in well-lit conditions. Is it absolutely amazing or something like that? No. Is it adequate? I think it is. So for kind of the normal type of use case scenarios in this quarantine day and age, for Zoom meetings, chats, and things like that, I think it's more than good enough, provided that you have adequate lighting conditions. Now I'm gonna turn the lighting conditions off to mimic really bad light conditions to see what the performance is like then. And here are really bad lighting conditions, such as I have pretty much almost no front light at all. This is just what the screen is providing, and it's on very low brightness, the screen itself. And plus I have the window right here, which is basically the backlight glowing here, and I still can't really see it slowing down too much. It's not super noisy from what I can see on the screen, and it's still quite usable. And if I chose to kind of rearrange it and move it here so that it's on a more lit kind of a surface, then it definitely works. So nothing spectacular, but definitely usable and something that works. And this is the example of the rear camera working in the same low light conditions. As you can see, none of the front lights are on, just the screen itself, and it's able to pick up the details in the shadows as well very nicely, and it just kind of works. So obviously it will work outside quite nicely, but I think the same story kind of translates in here as well. Good results, nothing spectacular, but perfectly usable. As I mentioned before, the tablet is equipped with no less than 4 JBL speakers. So you have 2 at either of the sides, and we have 2 microphones here on the top. This is, it seems silly, but there are devices out there that actually have microphones down here, and then if you have it like this, it will muffle the sound and things like that. Certainly not the case with the Lenovo Tab P11 Pro. Besides sounding really good and spacious, especially because you have the Dolby options and all these kinds of things, which is different dynamics, and you have different types of settings which definitely work and help. One thing that's actually really good is that they are aware of the orientation of the device. So whether it be landscape this way, landscape that way, or portrait this way or that way, the speakers themselves change their role so that you always have the correct stereo image regardless of what your picture orientation is. So for me, that's something that's a very nice thing to see. When I recorded material and had video chats with people, so with the microphones, they worked perfectly nice, and they were able to actually isolate and focus on the voice, to prioritize the voice itself when it was in noisy conditions like this. Alright, testing out the performance of the microphones now under noisy conditions, as in noisy music in the background. Something that I do like from time to time, but yeah, let's see how this performs and if the microphones and the system is able to actually differentiate and isolate the voice from the noisy background.